This guy is such a jerk.
That Republicans have shut the government down because of their unwillingness to provide health care to everyday Americans, working class Americans, and middle. The Republicans have created a health care crisis that is devastating people all across the country. Working class America, rural America.
This is such a lie. Everything he says is a lie. Unbelievable.
Urban America, small town America, the heartland of America, and black and brown communities all throughout America. That Republican healthcare crisis includes, but is not limited to, the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers closing all throughout the country because of what Republicans did in their one big ugly bill. The country faces a possible $536 billion cut to Medicare if Congress doesn't act by the end of this year. The Republicans continue to refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which is going to result in tens of millions of Americans experiencing dramatically increased premiums, co-pays, and deductibles. All across the country, including, most significantly, in states that Donald Trump won, and Republicans could care less. House Republicans canceled votes 2 weeks ago, canceled votes last week, canceled votes this week. House Republicans are on vacation, House Democrats are on duty here in Washington, D.C., ready to reopen the government, ready to support our troops and hardworking federal civil servants, and ready to address the Republican healthcare crisis that is crushing people all across the country in an environment where the cost of living is already too high. Because
what he doesn't say is the cost of living is really high because of the Biden administration, not because of the Republicans. It's because of him and his cronies' policies over the last 5 years.
the failed Republican policies like the Trump tariffs. Questions?
Senator Jeffries.
The government shutdown's going to get worse each and every single day for so many Americans, and we've already seen the standoff persist for some time. Republicans have rejected the Democratic CR that includes all of your demands there. So why not come up with a new approach, put a new offer on the table to try to jumpstart something rather than dig into your position?
We're open to sitting down anytime, any place with anyone in terms of our Republican colleagues, either here.
That's his favorite line. Sit down with anyone, any place, anytime. And as long as you do what we want, we'll reopen the government. In other words, we're just going to let people suffer because we didn't get our way. So we're going to take our ball and go home.
Here at the Capitol.
But why not put a new offer on the
Either
table?
here at the Capitol or back in the Oval Office to have a conversation about finding a bipartisan path forward. But there has to be a willingness amongst Republicans to actually have a conversation. And since the White House meeting over 2 weeks ago, Republicans have gone radio silent. Donald Trump has spent more time on the golf course than talking to Democrats on Capitol Hill. Republicans.
Donald Trump has been busy making the world safer, less wars. That's what he's been busy doing. He went golfing one time. He has been all over the world in the last 3 days. And this guy has the nerve to say that about our president. Unbelievable.
Have been on vacation since September 19th in the House. And in the Senate, the Republican strategy is to do the same exact thing. Bring the same failed partisan Republican spending bill to the floor over and over and over again, knowing it's going to go down. Because Democrats have been very clear. We're not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. We are open about having a good faith discussion with our Republican colleagues to hear their ideas about reopening the government while at the same time decisively addressing the Republican healthcare crisis.
Leader Jeffries.
Jeffries.
Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of the military, it looks like OMB is finding money and appropriating it to pay the military. Do you agree with that strategy? Are you on board with that? And are you interested in ultimately one bill?
Oh, I'm interested in what he's going to say here. Is he on board with us paying our military during the shutdown? This should be very interesting.
On the House floor to pay the military?
I agree with making sure that our men and women in uniform, our active duty troops, are paid. We also need to make sure that we take care of all of our hardworking federal civil servants, which is why Republicans should be back here in Washington working with us to reopen the government, as opposed to continuing the Trump Republican shutdown.
Leader Jeffries.
Good afternoon, thank you. Republicans have run on repealing and replacing Obamacare since 2010. But you're arguing for these subsidies to help subsidize Obamacare here. Isn't that an indictment that there's a problem with it, the fact that it needs to be propped up in some form?
No, the overwhelming majority of the American people, including in Republican-run states, support an extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits because they know that the Affordable Care Act has been an important part of ensuring that everyday Americans can afford to go see a doctor when they're sick, when their children are sick, and when their families are sick. And from our standpoint, it's strange that Republicans want to make this a partisan fight. This is not a partisan fight as far as Democrats are concerned. This is about the American people and ensuring that the American people can afford high-quality health care when they need it, including in red states. And by the way, the majority of states that benefit in terms of their people getting health care from the Affordable Care Act tax credits are states that Donald Trump won. West Virginia, number 1. Wyoming, number 2. Alaska, number 3. Tennessee, number 4. Mississippi, number 5. And states 6 through 10 are also states that Donald Trump won. This is not a partisan issue for Democrats. We care about making sure the American people can afford health care. Whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, we are fighting for hard-working American taxpayers. The Republicans do have a credibility issue when it comes to health care and the Affordable Care Act. And the American people know we're standing on the side of lifting up their quality of life, and Republicans have spent the last 15 years, you are correct, trying to repeal and displace people off the Affordable Care Act. In fact, they've done it more than 70 times, which is why if we're going to resolve this issue, it can't simply be a Republican wing and a prayer. We actually need legislative action that extends the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And by the way, also addresses other aspects of the Republican healthcare crisis that is crushing the American people. Thanks.
Leader
Third
Jeffries.
row, thanks.
The judiciary can only continue its full paid operations through Friday. Do you have any concerns about what will happen with that, criminal and civil cases?
We remain completely and totally concerned by all of the aspects of the Trump Republican shutdown, which is why we need them to abandon their failed my way or the highway approach, their take it or leave it approach, and the Republican go it alone approach.
What about your take it or leave it approach? You, your party, your senators. We need 3 more senators to get on board from the Democratic side and pass this clean CR so that then you can continue your stupid fighting, because that's what you are. You're both stupid, and you're hurting America.
Because if Democratic votes are needed to reopen the government, which is the case, then this has to be a bipartisan discussion to find a bipartisan resolution to reopen the government and address the Republican healthcare crisis. We are very concerned with all of the implications of this Trump Republican shutdown and how the American people are being hurt. It doesn't seem to me that Republicans are concerned because they remain on vacation and have now canceled votes for the third consecutive week. That's outrageous. Democrats from all across the country will be here in person, meeting in just a few hours and throughout the week because we want to reopen the government. And the question has to be asked, why in the world are House Republicans still on vacation, spread out across the country and the world? It's perplexing. It's shocking. I'm flummoxed by the whole situation. It makes no sense. They're reinforcing the narrative that they could care less about the quality of life of the American people.
Leader Jeffries.
Mr. Leader, want to ask you about November 1st, which is when open enrollment begins, as you know, and some rates are already being set. There are some who think that's a date by which, at this point, the leverage over the shutdown may not matter as much because the ACA subsidies will be in motion in terms of the rates. How do you feel about that idea?
Well, our view has always been that we have to address the Republican healthcare crisis and the need to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits with the fierce urgency of now, because at this moment in time, notices are going out to people all across the country indicating that their premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to skyrocket. People are about to pay thousands of dollars more per year. And for many hardworking American taxpayers, you're talking about their health insurance rates doubling, tripling, or quadrupling. In the congressional district that Speaker Johnson represents, you're talking about thousands of people in his district who are about to experience a 379% premium increase. How is that acceptable? That's happening right now. One of the reasons why we have to act right now is because of the November 1st open enrollment period. That's just the beginning of the open enrollment period. It'll last until early to mid-December. And so Republicans can try to run away from this problem that they've created by continuing to break our healthcare system, but they will not be able to hide. And that will become increasingly clear, as Marjorie Taylor Greene consistently has pointed out, in the weeks to come.
Leader Jeffries.
You got it?
Mayor Cup.
Yeah.
You mentioned several times that you believe Republicans have a House majority due to the North Carolina gerrymander. They announced yesterday that they're going to try to draw Don Davis out of his seat. I want to get your reaction to that. And also, do you believe that Proposition 50 in California is enough to offset everything that Republicans are doing to try to redraw the map ahead of next year? And also, the Supreme Court is hearing the Louisiana redistricting case tomorrow. So I just want to get your thoughts on North Carolina, Prop 50, and the Supreme Court oral arguments tomorrow.
Well, the Supreme Court case tomorrow is going to be incredibly important, and we stand behind the civil rights community in defending the opportunity for people of every race to have an opportunity to elect a candidate or member of Congress of their choice, and to push back against the efforts by some in this country on the other side of the aisle to engage in partisan race-based gerrymandering to undermine the ability of Black, brown, or Asian communities in the country to be able to select their representative, as opposed to having extremists draw lines so that their representative can be effectively selected for them. We're going to be watching closely that Supreme Court oral argument tomorrow, and I stand behind Representative Cleo Fields, whose district is the subject of the litigation. And we also, of course, stand behind the civil rights community's efforts to preserve both Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, as well as the 14th Amendment protections against racial gerrymandering and undermining the ability of communities of color to elect the candidates of their choice. We're going to win Prop 50 in California, and I'm thankful for the tremendous leadership of the California congressional delegation, the people of California, Governor Newsom, and the coalition of folks who have come behind the effort
Okay, I don't care what.
to push back against what Republicans.
All right, I don't care about Prop 50. I want to get this this shutdown resolved. That's what I want. Anyways, everybody have a great day. Bye-bye. Like and subscribe for more of this kind of content.